Welcome. In today's lesson, we're going to answer one of the most common questions in all of software development. What is an API? You've probably heard the word thousands of times. APIs power the apps on your phone, the websites you visit, and the services you use every day, from checking the weather, to paying for coffee, to signing in with Google. But what actually is one? By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, concrete picture of what an API is, how it works, and why it matters. Let's begin. API stands for Application Programming Interface. Let's break that down. Application, a piece of software. Programming, writing instructions for a computer. Interface, a point where two things meet and communicate. Put those three ideas together, and an API is a set of rules that lets one piece of software talk to another. It's a contract. One application says, here's what I can do for you, here's how to ask, and here's the shape of the answer I'll send back. Another application reads that contract and can now use those capabilities without knowing anything about how they work on the inside. Let's make this concrete with an analogy. Imagine you're at a restaurant. You're hungry. You have no idea how the kitchen works, what pots are where, what order the steps happen in, what temperatures things are cooked at. And you don't need to. You look at the menu, you tell the waiter what you want, the waiter goes to the kitchen, and eventually, food arrives at your table. In this analogy, you are the client, the person making a request. The kitchen is the server, the system that actually does the work. And the waiter? The waiter is the API. The waiter knows what's on the menu, how to take your order, and how to bring the food back. You never see the kitchen directly. You don't need to. The API handles the whole conversation. Most APIs on the modern web work on a simple pattern: request and response. Your application, whether it's a phone app, a website, or another server, sends a request. The request asks for something specific in a format both sides have agreed on. The API on the other end receives the request, does whatever work is needed, and sends back a response. That response usually contains data in a format called JSON, short for JavaScript Object Notation, which is simply text organized as a set of keys and values that any programming language can read. Request goes out, response comes back. The whole conversation happens in milliseconds, and it's happening, right now, hundreds of times a second, across every connected device around you. APIs are everywhere. Let's look at a few you've almost certainly used without realizing it. Weather apps don't measure the weather themselves. They call a weather API, like OpenWeather or the National Weather Service, and display the results. Google Maps exposes an API so that Uber, DoorDash, and countless other apps can show you directions without building their own mapping system. Stripe provides a payment API that lets any online store take credit cards without ever handling the card details themselves. Twitter, Reddit, and GitHub all have APIs that let developers build tools on top of them. And large language models like GPT and Claude are, from a developer's perspective, APIs you send a prompt to and get a response back. Every time one piece of software needs something from another, an API is how it asks. So there it is. An API is how one piece of software asks another for something, the waiter between the customer and the kitchen, the bridge between your app and the world. In the next video, we'll look at what happens when things go wrong, HTTP status codes, errors, and how good APIs handle failure. Thanks for watching.